Madeleine Albright famously remarked that we are the indispensable nation. We stand tall and see further than other countries into the future. This is a common view in the foreign policy establishment and is used to justify an active American role in the world. But is it true? Well, no.
Thank God for that, at
least. That's right. I mean, it's really, we got two sentences. Usually we get just the first sentence, the indispensable nation sentence. And here we also got the second one, the stand tall and see further. Mm-hmm. And I think it's especially the second one is deeply untrue, right? So the idea that we understand the future, we have better predictive abilities, our crystal balls are better, our tea leaves are better, our mystics, whatever it would be, we don't see the future of our own country very well, let alone seeing the future of the world. People didn't predict the rise of Donald Trump. Mitt Romney thought he was going to win the election. And we live in our own society all the time and are familiar with our political culture and have deep understanding. The idea that we see further into the future of what's going to happen to other countries and can shape it in a meaningful way, deftly, I think it defies belief. Like, why is it that could possibly be true?
Because we think we're special.
Yeah, but we can be special in lots of ways. I agree that we're special, but we don't have to be special in terms of, minority.
You mean you don't believe in American exceptionalism?
Every great power thinks they're special, right? Most countries think they're special, and every great power not only thinks they're special, most of them think they have some kind of universal mission. Right, the British thought they had a universal mission to spread British culture. The French had la mission civilisatrice. Right, the Soviet Union was going to bring socialism to the entire world, and we're in that sense no different. We're a major, very powerful, very lucky, very successful country, and as John likes to say, we think we have the magic formula that applies everywhere. Right, and that's what Madeleine Albright was channeling when she said that, and offended most of the people who were in the room when she said it.
And it was easier for her to sustain that when she said it in the immediate aftermath, not merely of the Cold War, but also the first Gulf War, as Dick pointed out earlier. But the fact that that idea persists, in spite of everything that's happened in the last 20 years since she made that statement, is quite striking, right?
Yeah,
it's rather breathtaking.
If we could see further, how come we didn't predict all the problems that were going to happen in Iraq after our invasion, right? That doesn't seem that we're seeing much further than beyond our nose.
Right.
When the Cold War ended, there were two articles that were written that were of seminal importance. One was Frank Fukuyama's piece, The End of History, which basically said, we defeated fascism in the first half of the 20th century, communism in the second half, and in the future, everybody was going to end up looking like us. We were the best, and everybody would end up emulating us. The other piece was Charles Krauthammer's piece, The Unipolar Moment, which said that we're an incredibly powerful force. And I think Krauthammer and as many of his allies did not have a healthy appreciation of the limits of military force, which is the issue we were talking about before. But anyway, you marry Frank's argument with Krauthammer's argument, and you're off to the races.
And it is important to remember, so Frank Fukuyama could be right about the long-term trajectory. It's a totally separate point to say we can drive that trajectory.
Frank
Frank doesn't believe that we can drive.
To his credit, opposed the Iraq War.
Exactly,
he opposed
because he didn't think we could, from the outside, change the regime.
He didn't think big stick diplomacy was going to produce the desired outcome.
I think many in the establishment are chastened by what's happened, but they're stuck with the fruits of their illusions in conflicts and messes that are unresolved, and there's a powerful human instinct against simply surrendering and putting up your hands and leaving.
But they also won't say. But you often hear this situation described as we are where we are. So I can provide a diagnosis of how we got where we are, but that was the answer. We are where we are. But then it's meant to logically follow that the way to get out from where we are is to do the same things that got us to where
onward.
Keep digging. Double down. Rather than say, even if we are where we are and we have to manage the mess we created, maybe we need a different strategy to manage the mess.
And most of us were, paying attention back when people predicted disaster if the United States liquidated its long and failed commitment in Indochina. All dominoes were going to fall, terrible things were going to happen. Guess what? We got out of Vietnam, and a great power collapsed. It was the Soviet
Right.
Union
It was morning
14
in
years
America,
later. Right. So,
that just shows you how hard it is to predict again.
Yeah,
and
we're
that's
now,
why we
we're
should
now
not get
debating
into
whether or
this
not we should
business.
supply arms to North Vietnam.
Vietnam.
Sorry, thank you. I'm betraying my edge.
Yeah.
But the reason that we can do this is, again, because we're remarkably secure.
Right.
And
Yes.
you can run around the world doing all sorts of crazy things and you pay no real price.
Right.
But there are real costs,
No,
and
hang on
that's the
just a
danger.
second. Secondly, we have a military that represents a small slice of the society, and the vast majority of Americans pay no price for all these crazy escapades.
tangible.
And
Yeah.
the military, for reasons I don't understand, has come to believe that they're doing all this wonderful work and fighting all these losing wars is really not what's happening here. And they continue to go on and on and on, to the point where you have people who have 5, 6, 7 deployments in places like Iraq and Afghanistan with not a sign of any protest.
But there
I
is a
find
lot of
this quite
skepticism
remarkable.
within the ranks. It's just that they're basically living good civil-military relations by not necessarily criticizing civilian authorities.